I guess for tomorrow's match, I would probably give T1 the win. I think they're a bit better than BLG currently. I was not very impressed by BLG's games. They didn't seem that great. So I think in the end, Genji is probably just gonna win the whole thing.
We noticed that today G2 proposals were denied by T1. So which aspects of today's series do you think need to be fixed for G2 to keep improving on international competitions?
I think today the majority of our losses kind of came from just team fighting. I think we got pretty decent leads in all the games, and I felt like we were ahead. It just came down to losing a lot of 5v5 fights. I think if we can learn, like, for everyone what their role is in a fight, maybe we can start playing it better, because that was kind of a thing we noticed that we're bad at already in Europe. I think it kind of shows today. But yeah, they were just much better in that aspect. I think by maybe a few games we were also grouping on the wrong waves, but overall I felt like we were still fine around playing around the map.
From the performance from G2 in this whole MSI, do you feel like G2 could be the hope of the Western teams? And also, some people saw like there's so many differences in terms of the ability of the team between the Western and Eastern team. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I mean, I would say that the West's last hope is probably still gonna be us at Worlds, because I just don't have much faith in any other team. I think everyone else looked kind of bad, and I don't think they can actually get on the same level. I think we at least have some hope if we can fix some of our team fighting mostly. And yeah, just have a lot more stuff prepared for Worlds. I mean, for sure, between the West and the East, there's a huge gap. Mostly, I think it comes down to individual prowess in like fights. I think that's also where we got outplayed today. I mean, I think we can still match it if we have time to actually work on it. I think, yeah, against Top, for example, I mean, I guess they were just playing bad as well. But yeah, T1 kind of played well in those, but I don't think it's like impossible to reach that level. But I think for the rest of the West, they have a bit more problems than just team fights.
Mickey, what do you feel T1 changed or adapted the most since the previous series?
I think, I guess the biggest adaptation was probably in draft. I think they drafted a bit better than last time. But besides that, I think not much changed. I think, yeah, again, they just played better in fights, I think. But yeah, maybe it was also easier because of drafts, because, yeah, I guess last time around we had a lot. I mean, I guess they were more surprised with our draft, but now they kind of saw a lot of it and prepared the good counters for it. For example, Renata versus Bobby support was like pretty tough, and they also lane swapped that game. So yeah, I guess in that sense they prepared a bit better, but I think gameplay wise it was kind of a similar story where we just lost in fights and then lost the games.
Hey, Mickey, sorry about that loss. You guys gave Faker, especially the first two games, his two best champions in Azir and Orianna. What was the logic behind, opening those picks for Faker?
I mean, I guess we thought that we are just gonna be able to play against him, and I think it didn't look particularly insane on those picks. I think the Azir game he was kind of running it. What was he playing first game again? Orianna?
He played Ori.
Yeah. I guess, I mean, they picked it kind of early as well, which he didn't show as much priority on it in the previous games. But also, yeah, our plan was not to target the mid lane in that aspect. I think game 3 we kind of bent Azir just because it had like an escape and it was good scaling. So game 3 when he was on Talia, it felt like we could punish it way easier than the Azir. And I think Tristana had a pretty huge lead in that game as well. So yeah, I think the Big Ben would not change anything in that regard. No matter what champ he would play, the game would probably turn out the same.
We feel so sorry about today's result. And what's your prediction for tomorrow's match between T1 and BLG? And there's 3 teams left. So which team do you think have the higher potential maybe to lift the final trophy?
I guess for tomorrow's match, I would probably give T1 the win. I think they're a bit better than BLG currently. I was not very impressed by BLG's games. They didn't seem that great. So I think in the end, Genji is probably just gonna win the whole thing. They look like the best team so far, and I think they have pretty good draft as well around there. So I think it's gonna be between Genji and T1, and I'll probably give the edge to Genji slightly, but I could see it going either way.
Hello, Mikyx. I'm Sarah. Sorry for your loss today against T1. We have seen you playing in a brilliant level today. In what tier of supports do you think you belong, and why?
What tier of supports I think I am?
Mhm.
I'm not sure. I think during the whole tournament I played all right, and I didn't feel like anyone in particular played great. I think Keria played way better today than in our first series. So I'd put him above for sure. Yeah, I'm not sure. I think I'll probably put myself like top 5, something like that. But yeah, the other supports are pretty good as well. Like Lehen's on, pretty good. Also there. Yeah, I think Meiko, I guess, didn't play the best in the end. So yeah, I think overall I was like fine. So yeah, somewhere like top 5 probably.
So critical, even.
Hey Mickey, I'm really sorry about the loss and G2's run coming to an end today. G2's last series against T1 looked very close, and I know that a lot of the G2 players felt like that series was very winnable, minus a few mistakes. What was the biggest difference here? Was the last series an outlier? Was this series an outlier? And also the second question is, I know this is a huge if, but is there a big regret of what if we had just taken one more game in the T1 series last time?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think today's series in particular was an outlier because I still felt like we had good leads in the games, and then in the end it came down to just team fights and execution, which I think was similar in the other series. It just happened that we played better in the 2 wins we got and actually snowballed the lead properly and won the team fights. And I guess the draft was also, I guess they weren't as prepared for like Poppy or stuff like this. For sure, if we won one more game in that series, for example, the last game when we had the lead, we could probably go all the way. I feel pretty confident about that we can still beat any team. Because at least this time around, it didn't feel like we got stomped compared to Worlds last year against like BLG and Genji. Like those games just felt like we actually got stomped, and even the game we won, it was like a complete flip. But this time around, I felt like our wins were actually good, and even today, we had good early game leads, and we could have for sure turned them into a victory, but we were just not precise enough. And yeah, sucks.
Thank you so much.
Yep.
Awesome. Thank you.
Cheers.